Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Prowess Live. I am Leah Steinkirk, your host today. We are going to be getting into a fabulous conversation. I am super excited about our guest today, talking a lot about mindset and that shift when you want to make that change in your career from corporate to doing your own thing. To kick things off, as we always do, throw into chat. My question today is like, what's that one thing that you have with you that makes you kind of feel like, yep, I'm here today, right? So it could be that favorite pair of earrings that you wear. Maybe it's the crystals that you put in your pockets. Maybe it's sometimes it's my favorite coffee cup that I pull out of the cabinet to be like, today's my day. I'm going to show up. I'm totally myself. What's that one thing that really helps you feel confident in who you are? I will also throw in there that sometimes it's the t-shirt that my daughter made for me because I have a teenage daughter, so I feel a little bit seen when I have something that she thinks is cool. So, um, yep, red lipstick is one. I'm seeing that one in the comments. Is that one can make us feel a little sparky. Um, all right, well, we're gonna kick things off today. I am super excited about our guest. And she has her one thing that I saw her talking about in all of her stuff is showing up as you're fully yourself. So that's why I want to kind of hone in on that. So as we're talking about mindset shifts, we're really kind of focused on who we want to be and how we want to show up. Awesome. Okay, so I am going to welcome Kathy Goughenour. So excited to have you today. We would love it if you would introduce yourself.
Leah, thank you so much for being here. Hey, I want to jump in on your what brings you confidence because mine is wearing a tiara.
I love it.
Yes. No matter what, I love wearing a tiara. Even like everybody thinks it's your birthday when you wear it out. Oh, they'll say, "Oh, happy birthday." Thank you.
Love it.
It's my birthday, but it's good, right? So I love wearing my tiara. So me, I am, let's see, first of all, I was a virtual assistant way back in the pioneer days when almost nobody even knew what a virtual assistant was. Started my VA biz in 2001 after quitting an almost 20-year corporate career with a Fortune 500 company. They told me that I would never be promoted again because I laughed and smiled too much. So literally after crying at my little ugly cubicle, I pulled up my big girl panties and decided that I was going to quit and start my own business. And when I went in and gave my resignation, they said, "You can't quit." And I said, "I know for sure I can." And they said, "No, you'll never make this kind of money anywhere again." And this was 1996. Some of you might not even have been born back then. But this was 1996 and I was 40. So do the math. Turning 68 this year, and here I am still going strong. And they said, "You'll never make this kind of money again." So I declared to myself right then and there that I would not only make that kind of money again, which at that time was $55,000, but I would double it. And back in 2001, VAs weren't making six figures, but within 3 years, and by the way, I needed a coach and trainer in order to help me get there. But within 3 years of working with a really good coach, I got to 120,000 as a VA. And then awesome. I know, and then went on to build 4 different online businesses because as a virtual assistant, a virtual expert, and OBM, one of the many things people don't tell you about is that you learn a whole lot about your clients and what they really need. So then you can create other businesses to provide that. So I was a real estate VA when I first started, and I discovered that they really needed blog posts, but they didn't want to pay to have them custom written. So I created a membership site for real estate agents where they got inexpensive blog posts. PLR is what they're called now. Back then, they didn't have that term. And I went on to build that to 6 figures and sell it. Wow. Yeah. So who knew? I didn't know any of that until I worked as a VA. And a lot of people are like, "Well, how do you become an expert?" Because I really like that term expert. I like people to niche down. Was I an expert as a real estate VA? No, I had never been a real estate agent. All I had done is bought and sold houses as a human being. I learned what they needed by working with them. So that's all you need. You just need to know that much more than the people you're working for about what they need and how to help them. So that's a lot longer introduction than you probably needed. But today I run my virtual expert training company where I coach and train women to become virtual experts, freelancers, and then refer them to Prowess where they can become an OBM.
And thank you for that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love what you're saying too, because don't you think a little bit is just the curiosity? When we're just slightly more curious than the current work on our desk, then we can, right? And it feeds itself.
Leah, you have nailed it, because a lot of people say, but how do you learn all that? And I'm like, I'm nosy. I like to know about people. What do you need? What can I help you with?
Mm-hmm.
And when you care more about them, because a lot of people are like, when I have a discovery call, what do I say? How do I prove to them that I'm good? You don't need to prove to anybody that you're good. You need to prove that you care about them. So when you're curious, like you said, and you ask them questions about them and their business, they're going to think you're the smartest person that ever walked the face of the earth.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think too, like you're saying, that caring, I think a lot of people that get into this role is because we do care, right? We want to help someone. We always are thinking like, oh, how could they do it different? Ashley and I have a joke here that if she has the tangled up necklaces, she throws them in the garbage. And I'm like, oh no, that would be like the best birthday gift you could give me, is because I want to untangle them, right?
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yes, I think a lot of us feel that way. Like, let me get in there and untangle this and see what I can get and give it back to you whole.
Yeah. In fact, I just had a meeting with the person on my team who runs my Kajabi and Active Campaign. I know how to log into those, and that's about it. And I asked her, I said, I don't know where the opt-in forms are for Active Campaign versus Kajabi, and if they're the same, and where the lists are. And she said, let me dig in and figure this out. And we'll meet again next week, and I'll share with you what I've found and what I recommend. And I'm like, thank you very much. Yeah.
Yep. That's what I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So in helping women that are, because you talked about your business is helping women that are wanting to make this shift.
Yeah.
What, for freelancers, for people that are getting into this, what would you say is the biggest mind shift that they need to have in order to make this, to be successful?
Oh my gosh. So there are so many. And I would say the number one thing is to realize that you have tons of skills already. Please do not go out and buy a bunch of skills training. You don't need it. You don't know what you need to learn yet. Go in, start making money fast as you can. Get a client, get a couple of clients, start making money based on what you already know how to do. If you already know how to do bookkeeping, do that. If you already know how to write, do that. If you already know how to do tech, do that. You don't need to go get a bunch of skills training. So jump in, start earning. I think that's the number one mistake people make, is they train and train and train and train, and they never start earning. Mm-hmm. And you have to let go of the employee mindset. And by that, I mean, like when I was and this is the way corporate still is, I know, they don't want you to rock the boat. Here's your job description. This is what you're supposed to do. Stay in your lane, all of those words, right? That's not how it is when you have your own business. When you're a freelancer, when you're a VA, your clients want you to speak up. They want you to give them suggestions and ideas, how to do things faster, easier, less expensive, how to make more money. Would you agree, Leah?
Absolutely. Because I do think it's showing up as your whole self. And if you want that fulfillment, then but it's hard, right? Like you're talking about letting go of that corporate mindset. Do you have any advice for people when it's like you see them still doing it? Like, do you have magic words to get them to shift out of that?
So the biggest thing that I talk about are the 3 Ps. So you want to be proactive. And that's what I was talking about. When you see something, say something, right? And I'm not talking about going to somebody's site and picking it apart and showing them all the errors. That can feel really offensive when you don't know somebody yet. But when somebody hires you and you're working on something and they've said, do it this way, and you're like, I know I could probably do it faster and better this way, reach out to them and say, hey, I have an idea I'd like to run by you on how we could do this faster or easier. They're not going to say no to listening to the idea. And by the way, if they do say no to listening to the idea, they're probably not your ideal client. In fact, during discovery calls, I would tell clients, I am not a yes person. If you want a yes person, please do not hire me.
Mm-hmm.
And quite honestly, most people were then like, oh, I for sure want you, because they don't want yes people, right? They want somebody, I do a lot of matchmaking now between freelancers, VAs, virtual experts, and clients. And every single one of them, there has not been one that has not said, I want somebody with self-initiative. I don't want a yes person. I want somebody who's going to dig in and figure out what needs to be done without me having to tell them. And that's a fulfilling job versus the employee mindset is I sit back and I wait for somebody to tell me what to do.
Yes.
So that proactive is really important.
Yes. On that, and then I'll let you get back to your 3 Ps. But I think it's also that's like, again, you get to show up as who you are and you can do it kindly. And I have a lot of people that, well, how am I going to get those words out? And again, going back to the questions, we're talking about curiosity, is when you say to someone, well, have you tried this before? Right. And then it takes away that I'm telling you that you did it wrong if I'm letting them step into it also.
I love
how you're framing that.
Yeah. Another P is be a problem solver. So again, at a corporation, they've got lots of people to solve problems, right? So you can get a lot of other people to solve a problem for you. But when you have your own business, when you're working with a client, don't go to them first and ask them to solve a problem you're having. If you can't log into their site or you're struggling with that, try everything you can before you reach out to them, right? If there's something like the example I gave you today of, I want to get rid of ActiveCampaign because it's costing me a fortune. And ActiveCampaign, if you're listening to this, have an option that isn't so freaking expensive. I didn't want to leave you. But I said, I need to reduce that cost and I need to move it to Kajabi. How do we do this? What do we do? And, I don't want her coming back to me and going, well, while I'm supposed to be the expert, I don't know. No, if you're supposed to be the expert, go figure it out. Because guess what? There's a million ways you can figure things like that out these days.
Yes, with my boyfriend, ChatGPT. He's very helpful.
Chatty.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the final one is really kind of a boring sounding one, but I'll tell you why it's important. And the final P is professional. And by professional, I don't necessarily mean that you have to look a certain way. What I really mean is that you have things in place like contracts. So when you're ready for a client to hire you and they say, yeah, I'm interested in working with you, you can say, would you like to know our next step? They say yes. And you're like, okay, I'll send you a contract. You send them the contract. You offer to do that. If they say, oh, I have a contract and I'd really like to use it, great. But you've offered. And what I love about that is that's one less thing that they have to do. So right away, you're showing them they're going to have less work to do when they hire you, not more. If I'm thinking about hiring somebody and they start giving me homework, they're not going to get hired because I have all the homework I need. And then another way to be professional is how you price your services. If you compete on low price, that is not professional. You will never win competing on low price. You will always lose because there's always somebody that can go lower. So I would rather you compete on high price. Are you the best? Then do your research, find out what others are charging and charge more. That's what I did. That's what my first coach told me. She goes, I want you to keep track of the best real estate VAs there are out there. And I want you to charge more than they do. And then when people come to you and you're having a discovery call, you can say, what made you decide to book a discovery call with me? And they say, well, you're the highest price. They literally would say this, you're the highest price. So I assume that meant you were the best. Is that right? Yep, that's right.
I love that. I love that. And now I bet you get from people that might feel uncomfortable,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Pushback,
What?
pushback.
Hmm. Yes. So how do you help people, or like what advice do you have people that might need to like strengthen that confidence and show up as that person who should be charging that price?
Oh, man, this is a big challenge, I will tell you, Leah. It is probably the number one challenge that I have faced since 2008 of coaching others on how to do this, because it all boils down to worthiness.
Mm,
And I will tell you that I have really had that challenge in my life too. So if you think back and you've ever had anybody, whether it was a parent or an aunt or a sibling or a teacher, who said something to you that made you feel less than worthy, that ghost, I call it a ghost, that ghost still talks to you if you have not gotten that fixed, right? And my mother was mine. She would say to me, and I can still hear her voice, who do you think you are? That was,
oof.
who do you think you are to go to college, to have a job? I mean, when she first found out how much I was charging, she literally said, you're lying. No one would pay you that kind of money.
Oh, goodness.
So I had a lot of mama issues to deal with. And there are a lot of programs out there that can help you with this. And I will tell you the number one program that has helped me the most and the fastest. And if anybody's interested, just email me and I'll give you details on this, because it's not something I can explain quickly here, but it's NLP, neuro linguistic programming.
Yes.
And a specific trainer, her name's Stacey O'Byrne. She has changed my life and the lives of many, many people that I've referred to her. And quickly. I mean, I went to therapy, I went to counseling, I did all of that, and all of that was good and all of that helped. This is an instead of, this is an addition to, but it can shift things for you faster than anything.
Yes.
But just in a nutshell, to give you a tip that you can action use today is, you are worthy just because you are here and you are alive.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
all you need to know. You simply are worthy, period.
Yes. And so I always think those are great things to have on a post-it notes where you can see it all the time. And I love also what you shared, and thank you for sharing that with your journey there. But it's also, we need to make that investment in ourselves,
Yes.
whatever it is, right? Like NLP is a great resource. There are lots of other ones, whatever feels the right thing, and that you deserve to make that investment in yourself to get to where you want to go. Because if you can see it, if you can see outside the cubicle, or you have that tiny spark that says, I want that freedom or that flexibility, you have, like you're saying, you're worthy to get there.
Yeah.
We always joke, we call them the mean girls in your head. And then you have to tell
Yes.
them
Oh, that's a great way to say that. Yeah.
yeah.
Don't let the
Yeah.
mean girls get you.
Yeah. And it's a practice, right? Like all the time you have to keep level setting that. And I really like that about, like, especially about the pricing, because you do deserve to be there.
I also have a rule of thumb that I can give you that is outside of your mindset. Okay. So, because a lot of people need that extra thing. So, your pricing is correct if 50% of the people that go through a discovery call with you and you give them the price, if 50% say yes and 50% say no, congratulations, you're at the right spot. If you have more than 80% saying yes, you're priced too low. Raise your price and raise it and raise it and raise it. And I just recommend, like, literally every discovery call that is a yes, raise your price a little bit. Yes, raise your price a little bit. Yes, raise your price a little bit. Finally, you get a no. Okay, let me stay here for a while. Keep track of how many yeses and how many nos. And when you're 50-50, you're exactly where you need to be.
What I love about that is it encourages you to keep growing, right?
Yes.
Because again, the mean girl, you're going to have those little, like, should I be doing this? But that's a great marker, like, to keep it going and to keep pushing yourself.
Yeah.
So
and sometimes
like
it's just getting yourself to say, it's this much. If that's it, put it on your website, put it in an email, put it in a PDF, put it somewhere that they're going to see, whether you give it to them, you write it out or whatever, and then you can't take it back.
Mm-hmm.
And do not lower your price for people, because those are the nickel and dimers, and they will always ask you to do something cheaper, faster for them. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Well, I think you brought up a great point that for anyone who's just getting started, it is okay for people not to be your client, right? You're going to come across people that just, if after the discovery call, you're going to decide to say no. And that is absolutely fine. I always tell people that just because you can doesn't mean you should, right?
Yes.
You might have the skills, but that might not feel like it's an alignment, and that's okay to say no to.
Yeah, we celebrate in virtual expert training. We celebrate when you say no to a client. We celebrate when you release a client. In fact, we probably get more excited about that than when you get a client, because a lot of times it's harder to say no, right? It's harder to release that client that isn't a good fit for you.
Yes. So how do you like, what is the advice that you give when it's like you need a certain amount of this strategy, like you're talking about, but then also keeping this mindset? Do you have a good cadence for just, or is it just
now say what strategy?
Any strategy when it comes to running your business, right? There's all of the things that we need to do every day to grow our businesses as freelancers, as solopreneurs, but then we also have to keep this mindset thing going too.
So the mindset is an ongoing thing. You cannot one and done that, because we're all onions, right? I know you've heard this. An onion, you peel. And, I went, as you can tell, I have an unusual childhood. I could talk about that all day long. And at 30, I was 30 when I realized I'm the problem. I'm the common denominator here. I'd already been divorced twice at the age of 30. Okay. So I went to therapy and I got a lot of help. And at the end of that, I thought, I'm done. I'm fixed. I'm cured. And then when I still had challenges and I still didn't feel worthy, sometimes I was like, what's wrong? And then I came to the realization, I'm never done. Like you talked about, Leah, I'm never done growing. If I'm done growing, I'm dead. And I don't want to be dead. I love life. I love what I do. I love helping others, right? Just like all of you do. So you're never done growing, and especially your worthiness mindset, your mindset period. So find what's next for you to help you grow that mindset. Whether it's reading a book, listening to a podcast, I do something every day. In fact, I start my morning before I even get out of bed by listening to a podcast. I have several different ones shows that I like, and I listen to an upbeat podcast, or listen to music or read a book, whether it's the Bible or a business book or something else that excites you. Right?
Oh, I love that, because I do think it's so important to take care of like ourselves, right? If we've decided to make this investment and go out, it's working for yourself it's not easy, right? And so filling that cup back up is so important. So I love what you're sharing about the podcast, any of that stuff. And it's okay to like outgrow things in a way, right? And what was working for you last year?
It's okay to outgrow things and people, including clients.
Yes, exactly. Oh, I love that. If you had a magic wand for some of the people that you've worked with,
which
right?
I do have a magic wand.
I have no doubt. You've got a tiara.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I love it.
Had this.
There you go.
So if I had a magic wand,
what would you use that for people that are aspiring to get there? Like, it's the people that are, maybe they've shown up, they're saying, maybe I want to do this, maybe I want to do this. What is that? What does the magic wand do for them to help them make that switch? So
the number one thing is take the leap. Take the leap. Because Leah, how many times have you heard somebody say, now's not the right time for whatever it is? There is never a perfect time. It's better for progress over perfection, right? Progress over perfection. So take the leap. I will tell you, the only regret I have is that I waited until I was 40 to leave the corporate world. If I had my life to do over again, I would have been an entrepreneur from the get-go. I just didn't know about it. I literally didn't even know it was an option. So once you have that, I truly believe that you do not have a dream unless you can fulfill it. The universe, God, whoever you believe in, I don't know, but I really believe this. Whatever you believe in, whatever higher power you believe in, will not give you a dream that you cannot fulfill.
I love that.
Yeah.
So let's talk baby steps, right?
Okay.
What would be one of the first baby steps you would tell someone to take?
So I would decide, okay, first baby step. I would reach out to somebody like you, your company or my company. And there's a lot of us out there. But if you're listening to this, there's a reason you're listening to this, and have a conversation. I mean, I literally have free breakthrough sessions with everybody, anybody and everybody, to help them determine what is right for them. And I don't ever try to talk anybody into, you need to be a VA or a virtual expert or an OBM or a coach or whatever. I listen to what they want and how they want their life to be. And then I help them decide what to get into, right? What that next step is. And I give them 3 steps. And depending on where they are, it might be get your first client. It might be take training. But you have to really, I would talk with somebody who's already done what you want to do or what you think you might want to do.
That is very powerful. Yes. Because we're big on encouraging people to just go talk to people, right? See what problem they're sharing and do you want to solve it? But I like that angle even more is someone who's already done it or someone who's doing it.
That's right.
Yes.
And ask, what did they like about it? What do they not like about it? Because you want to know both. And I'm willing to share both. I mean, when you said being an entrepreneur, having your own business is not easy. No. What is that saying? You quit your 9-to-5 job, your 40-hour job so that you can work 60 hours a week and not get a regular paycheck. That's why it's worth it, because you love what you do so much. It never feels like work.
No.
I'm so thankful that I started my own business. So very thankful.
So what were some of the first, you said you did real estate.
I did. I was a real estate VA. That was my first expertise. And then in 2008, when the real estate market dropped, I decided to switch and I became a professional speaker, virtual assistant. Yeah. And guess what I knew about professional speakers? Nothing.
But again, it's that next thing that comes up and you make that decision whether or not, like, if it's to me, like if you're curious about it, it's probably the right way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did my research. By then I knew. I talked with a bunch of professional speakers. What do you need? If you were to hire a VA, what would you need from them? What kind of work would you need? And I know what I like to do and what I don't like to do. I hate tech. I'm terrible at tech. I like creative stuff. I like to write. Kind of like I like to talk. I like to write and talk. I like to do marketing. So that's what I did both for real estate agents and professional speakers, was marketing and writing. So I wrote blog posts. I found speaking gigs for them, things like that. If there's something you enjoy doing, there's somebody that needs it.
Right. Right. So all of those people out there that are like, ooh, I need a niche. Like sometimes it's that what just lights you up and gives you that energy all day long.
Right.
We have a great question here.
Okay, cool.
Back to it. What was it like for you when you signed your first client after corporate?
So it was really exciting because I didn't even know what a virtual assistant was. And it was the real estate agent that I was working with my husband and I were moving, and I was working with this real estate agent to buy a house, and his website was so bad. And I was like, Mike, your website really sucks. And he's like, well, fix it. And I'm like, okay, I could do that for you. And by fixing it, I didn't mean the tech part. I meant the writing, the marketing. And I said, okay, I could do that. And then I had to go figure out what to charge him. And Leah, I made big mistakes with charging. I said, $15 an hour. Really bad idea. but I did 15 an hour, and I learned a ton from that. Like, don't ever charge that low.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, and I learned I can get a client. And that's one thing, Leah, I tell people, if you're like, oh, I really think I want that steady paycheck, that security, is it really secure? It's really not. I can tell you that. It's really not secure. And it is a golden handcuff too, right? Because you're never going to make the kind of money you want to make in the corporate world. With your own business, it's unlimited what you can earn,
Mm-hmm.
right? And once you learn how to make money online, you can always make money online. It's just what you feel like doing next.
Right, right. And if you're a lot of people sitting in these roles, what I love about what you were talking about is you kept looking for those other, whether it's a product or a service that you can add on.
That's
so
right.
if you're good at this online business stuff for other people, you're going to be good at it for yourself. You just have to believe, like you said, you're worthy of doing it for yourself.
Yeah. And Leah, I can't even tell you the number of people who I've worked with. Just had somebody last week. She's a brilliant woman. She's been the director of operations for a corporation for 20 years. And she said, do I really have any skills that anybody would pay for? And I said, oh my God, yes. You have more experience and more knowledge than you even realize. And that is incredibly valuable.
Unfortunately, I've heard that question many times, and every time it hurts a little because it means that they weren't in a position where they were appreciated, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
So, yeah. And I don't know about you, but a lot of times I'm like, just start writing down every compliment you can remember that you got, or every time someone says, hey, can you help me with this? That means they see your expertise in something.
Yes.
Do you have any suggestions for people on that one?
No, that's a great one. Have you ever seen that? And I've done this, but it's been years ago, where you go to Facebook or whatever social media you use and you post and say, or you can email friends or you can ask friends, tell me the top 5 things or top 3 things that you admire about me.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Because sometimes we need that outside validation when we're struggling. Just know, I have worked with thousands of women and about 5 men. And there has never been a person who didn't already have skills that they could make money off of.
Yeah,
never.
Absolutely. Yeah. Another great question that we're getting kind of in this regard, but so maybe we see our skills, but it's applying it to a certain niche, right? To get started to find those people. Do you have any advice for people to figure out who is it I should start targeting?
Yes. So first of all, you want to see if they have any money. So for example, lots and lots of us would like to help the homeless. Mm-hmm. That is for when you have money or time. That is not how you're going to make a living. Okay. So they need to have the money. There's 3 things. They need to have the money. They need to see the value in hiring somebody to do whatever it is. And it needs to be an ongoing need. So there's a lot of people who are like, well, how do I make that reoccurring monthly income? So you have to find things that you can do for people ongoing. So like, I'm going to give you a kind of an extreme example. If you're like, well, I just need a website built and that's one and done. Well, not really, because that website needs to be maintained, right? So build the website and then sign them up for a maintenance agreement, monthly maintenance agreement, right?
Oh, yes. And this is, again, what I love about everything that you're saying is that you probably already have that historical knowledge of what the problem's going to be when you hear them say, I just need this done. So you can bring it back in a way that will just help them. Or sometimes you have to make it their idea, right? And
yes, Leah, that's my husband. If I can make something his idea, I get it always.
Yes. There's that magic wand again too.
Yeah. And you can always ask them a question. Like you said, be curious. So just curious, I'm sure you know that websites need to be maintained every month. They need this, 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 and this. So is that something that you feel like you want to do, or is that something you would like to hire somebody for?
Exactly. That's a very kind way to say it. Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of these too, it's like I want people to realize like these are natural conversations you're probably already having, right? Like in corporate, you were probably the person on the team who thought 3 steps ahead. Now you're just doing it in a different way and offering it for people that have their own businesses.
And that thinking 3 steps ahead, that's being proactive and problem solving. And that is what clients want. And they're willing to pay a lot of money for that.
Yes, yes. And what also, you made a point earlier that in that professionalism that you're talking about, a lot of this, when you're doing that or you're asking these questions, you're being proactive, you're demonstrating right there how you work. Because I get the question a lot, like, do I need like a portfolio or examples of work? And a lot of times that discovery call and how you handle it, it is, right? So like,
oh,
these
absolutely.
3 Ps are a great thing to put into practice to be like, this is how, because then they're going to see how you operate.
That's right. That's exactly right. And by asking them good questions, and the questions don't have to be like rocket science questions, just questions about their business, and using their lingo. That is the one thing that when you're researching, like with real estate, I didn't know the real estate agent lingo. So I did learn that as I was talking with real estate agents, right? So they don't talk about target markets. They talk about their farm area. So those are the kind of things. They don't talk about their clients. They talk about buyers and sellers. When you're able to talk to them in their terminology, they know you know them. That you understand them. And then you just ask, how many buyers did you have? That's what I would do. How many buyers, how many sellers did you have last year? How many would you like to have next year?
Well, I think that's so important because then they feel seen, right? In that call,
Yeah.
they feel like, okay, they get me. They have some knowledge.
Right.
Right. And one thing
What's
Ashley
your number
talks,
one, and you can just be something as simple as, what made you contact me today? What's the number one challenge that you want solved? And maybe it's not something you do. And then you ask them anything else and you just write it all down. Anything else, because I will tell you, most people don't really know what all we can do.
Very true.
Because I talk to people at least 2 or 3 times a week that want to hire somebody. And they're like, well, can they do blah, blah, blah? Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. What about this? Yes. Really? Yes.
I see another great question along these lines is advertising. Do you recommend advertising or word of mouth, like that sort of thing, to get started, to get your services out there?
Okay, so if advertising, you're talking about paid ads, I do not recommend starting out with paid ads. It's unless you have an unlimited amount of money that you can spend, because you're going to need either you're going to have the knowledge to do the ads, and you really need to have the knowledge. Don't just jump in and do it, because you'll lose a lot of money that way. Or you need to spend $500 to $1,000 to have somebody manage it, and then $500 to $1,000 a month for 6 months before you get any results. That's just the reality of paid ads. So I don't recommend doing that right off the bat. In fact, I never did paid ads as a freelancer. I do recommend being seen on social media. My number one recommendation, Leah, is networking. Networking. And I don't mean just casually networking. I mean, this is your plan. How are you going to do it? Where are you going to do it? And you keep track of who you've networked with, right? And I call them power partners. So for example, Prowess and I are power partners because we have similar target markets, but we do different things. We do complementary things. So I can refer clients to them and they can refer clients to me. If they run into somebody who's like not ready to be an OBM yet, they need the very basics, they can send them to me. When I have somebody, I don't teach people how to be OBMs. I don't know how to be an OBM myself. I send them to Prowess. And that's called being a power partner. So for example, with my real estate business, I contacted real estate websites and said, what's your number one challenge that you have with getting clients? And they said, it's retaining clients. And I said, why retaining? They said they buy it and then they don't have any content to put on it. And I said, what if we partnered and I provide the content and you provide the website? I'll refer clients to you who need a website. You refer clients to me who need that content. and we were power partners. And that's how I built my business to 6 figures really fast. And by the end, I had 75 clients, 75 real estate agents, and a waiting list of 15 or more at all times.
Wow. I love that.
And that's all I did. I did nothing other than that type of networking.
Yep. What I like about that is what I hear a lot from the women that we work with is they want it to feel intentional. They don't want it to feel sleazy marketing. So when you're partnering with someone like that and you're saying, I'm helping you and this is how you can help me, one, they want the ask. They want the ask. They want to know how else can I help you?
Right.
And two, it becomes a relationship. It becomes fun. It becomes, right, you're out there and you're helping someone else's business and you're growing.
That's right. Some of my closest friends are power partners. Yeah. Some of my closest friends online. Nobody lives where I live. I live in the middle of nowhere.
I love it. Well, we're almost at time. This has flown by, Kathy.
I told you would have a hard time getting me to shut up, didn't I?
I don't want you to shut up. This is like pure gold coming out of your mouth. I love this. So if there's anything you can leave this group with, what would that be? Any other wisdom you have?
Okay. So start now. Don't wait. Say yes to whatever that next thing is, whether it's starting a business, starting a different business, adding on a business, raising your rates. I mean, all people can do is say no, right? And start making money as quickly as possible. Because once you I talk with people that I work with and I say, until you get your first 3 clients, I haven't taught you everything you need to know. Because until you actually have a couple of clients and more than one, ideally. So I like 3 in 90 days, and then you're working with the clients. You don't even know the challenges you're going to run into. I mean, I can tell you what they're going to be, but you need to experience it and learn how to overcome the challenges, like juggling multiple clients, answering their questions, right? And releasing a client. So get 3 clients as quickly as you can without charging nothing. And Leah, I'm going to give you the tip. And this is what I teach brand new people. And I don't have any testimonials yet. I don't have any clients yet. Okay. You say, to thank you for being one of my first clients. You don't have to say you're number one. To thank you for being one of my first clients, I will give you, and you can just do a % reduction or an hourly rate reduction. So we're just going to say $10 off. I'm going to give you $10 off an hour. So my regular rate is $45 an hour. For the first 90 days, you get me for $35 an hour. And then at the end of that 90 days, it will automatically go up to $45 an hour. And you put all that in the contract. So you give them a slight discount because you're new. And then you don't have to ask for a raise later. It's automatic.
I love that. I hope everyone is writing this down.
Works great. Works great. Because you're scared, right? $45 an hour or 55 or 65 or 79.
Right.
I'm going to tell you right now, it is no harder to say $1,000 an hour, which is what I charge, than it is to say $50 an hour. It is no harder.
Yep. And keeping in mind, it's just an exchange, right? You are doing a ton of value for the other person. They're going to see that. They're going to want to pay you. So you just, like you said, you just got to start. You just got to put it out there.
They will be lucky to have you. That is how I seriously, because I hired a fractional COO. That was really scary for me. Really, $350 an hour. A lot of money, right? She saved me $30,000 a month.
Yep.
Was that worth it? Yes. $30,000 a month.
I
didn't know that was going to happen, but I did believe that I needed somebody to help me. And when you go in and you help them, they will never want you to leave. That's going to be the challenge, right?
Right.
And I'm sure you have this, but the average virtual expert, they stay with their clients forever, like 7 years on the average.
when you're helping them, you become that right hand. They can't do it without you,
That's right.
right?
They don't want to do it without you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's that first 90 days is, the period where you're going to discover if you guys are a good fit. And of course, things can change as you go. Somebody could retire or whatever, but for the most part, they will never leave you
Yep.
once you guys are a good fit.
Yep.
And just like you said
And
before, if you're not a good fit, just think, thank you for letting me know you're not my ideal client.
yeah.
And you don't have to say that to them necessarily,
Mhm.
but I literally like get off, like I'll read a mean girl email. I would never coach with you because look at your hair and you wear this tiara and you're so unprofessional. I shut down the email and say, thank you for letting me know you're not my ideal client.
Yep, I love that. Just send that one back into the universe.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
how can people find you? I know we'll put links in the show notes, but what do you have coming up, or how can they work with
Okay.
you?
Yes, Leah, thank you so much. And oh my gosh, you have been a fabulous. I think you just stole somebody's job, Ashley's job, because you were fabulous.
Well, thanks, Kathy.
Okay. So you can email me, Kathy at virtualexperttraining.com. And I have a really unusual thing coming up. This is the first time we've done this, and it is a 4-week masterclass session. We've got 4 different experts coming in to train on clarity and confidence in your freelance, OBM, virtual expert, virtual assistant, any kind of service-based professional business. Okay. We've got, and one of them is the NLP trainer. She's going
Okay,
to talk about
awesome.
mindset shift, and she's talking for free, and she charges a lot of money normally. That's how I'm able to do this for free. So I'm going to put the link. There's the link. You can sign up for free. It starts February 27th, but go ahead and sign up now, and then you'll get emails about it. And it's going to be via Zoom, and it'll be fun because you might be able to tell I like to have a lot of fun. And you'll learn a lot. And I'm not one of the speakers. My group has let me know they've heard enough from me. Everything I just shared today, they're like, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Because they've been with me for a long time and I love them. So I hope I gave everybody value here today. I had a lot of fun. Thank you, Leah.
Well, I know I got a ton of value out of it. So
Good.
thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah.
Thank you for everyone who hung out with us for this last 48 minutes. It's been awesome. We will be back next week and we'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you. Bye.